Good morning. In the gospel today, we have this story of this leper, and these 10 lepers, and it reminded me of a journey of a mission trip I did down to Colombia, and I've done a few years now. That we go to this island where these people live that are they were indigenous people, and then it became an island full of slaves, and then it became a leper colony. It's always struck me how the journey towards this place of always being a place of almost disgustingness, and um, and uh, and I was thinking about what that actually means for our life in the context of this gospel, because we could say, oh, this, obviously all 10 lepers should have been really grateful, and if I had leprosy, I'd be really grateful, and I'd go back to God for fixing that problem for me, but I think often maybe we forget about the leprosy we did have, of original sin, and we forget that actually was probably even worse than what leprosy actually means for a human being, because it wasn't just an end all in our life, but actually the original sin was a direction in our life before Christ's redemption is pointing us towards hell, is pointing us to a life where we don't really have a future, where we don't have, there's no hope, there was no reason to even exist, and what God gives us in this in his cross and his resurrection in the person of Jesus is much greater, and it gives us a life of freedom, it gives us a life of health, it gives us a life of hope, and that's what Christ did for us, and that's what each day and each Sunday needs to be, is a moment in which we go back to the Lord and say, Lord, thank you for redeeming me, thank you for giving me this great gift of your mercy, and giving me a reason to exist. And that's what I think this gospel should be a reminder for us today. On that island, one last thing is that after it stopped being a leper colony and they figured out a way to solve all the cure the lepers, the government decided to bomb the island, and it was basically completely destroyed, and no life was there, but now it's sort of been rehabilitated. But there's one building that was left. It was just the facade of the church, in an attempt for the world to help us forget about the great work that God did in us. I think God always has the last word, because his mercy stands. And I think that church for me stands as a witness of that mercy, of that's constantly presence, as a reminder that yes, we were sinners, we were lost, but yet God came in and he helped us along that journey, and he points us to hope in a new world. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.